Recording. Good morning and welcome to the 17th Green Light Celebration. We have 5 teams pitching here today, and to begin with we're going to have a couple of guest speakers. I'd like to turn it over to Ben Reichert. Give him a hand.
All right, guys. So thanks for being here. Obviously, like always, I just want to give a recap for anybody who's never been here before or is watching and has never seen what we do. So, the UAT Game Studios program, we bring in multidisciplinary teams. So we have artists, programmers, designers coming together to make games. Sometimes anywhere from 3 to 15 folks on teams, and special exceptions as well. And then the idea is it's going through a process of green light, which we'll be doing today. So teams will pitch their games, or individuals will pitch their game concepts, and then we basically decide as faculty if it's something we think can be brought into the next term to be worked on by upcoming students. So when that happens, then the teams will come, or the individual will come the following term and gather together whatever resources they can. So programmers, artists, and designers that want to work on those projects and those games, depending on what kind of genre or scope they have. And then we go through 1 or 2 or sometimes even 3 terms to help get those teams up and running, get those games made, and ideally get the games on some kind of a platform, whether it's Steam or some kind of mobile platform or VR. So we're really excited that the process has been constantly being tweaked and kind of brought together more and more, and we have a lot of the project methodology figured out. We use Agile with Scrum. We work really hard to make sure that teams communicate amongst each other and also to the outside world. So again, I'm really excited by the stuff that you guys have been doing this term specifically with the games themselves, but also what you've been doing to get the word out of your games and where they're currently at. Obviously, there's always room to keep growing on all fronts, and so we'll take a lot of the feedback that we get, as we do every term, about the process, about the communication, about just basically the kind of ebb and flow of the term, and when we see when things are at a high or at a low, and try to weave that into the actual course itself so we can kind of anticipate things as they come along. So a lot of it isn't so much about are you an awesome artist or a designer or a programmer, but it's more about, can you work as a team? Can you organize yourselves together and work on ambitious projects and stay up on that? So we talk a lot about velocity and where the team is going based on what the goals set out at the beginning of the term were, or set out based on the different sprints. And so what we're going to see today, obviously, is the kind of culmination of the last 15 weeks. Some of these projects have been there for longer than 15 weeks. But again, every time we come into the course, we set out what we want to do for that particular goal, and by the end of it, hopefully have something that is wrapped up, complete, ideally bug-free, but something that could be technically launched. So with that in mind, I think, again, we're going to be really impressed to see the projects today and where they're at. And then what we're going to do is go right into showing the projects in the typical milestone way, and this is for the leads, and they'll show that off, what you guys have accomplished in the last 15 weeks, and then also just dive right into the pitch for next term, because we're going to just kind of wrap it all into one time. So by the end of the pitches today, we'll all go have some lunch, have a break, and then come back, and at that point, us faculty should have decided then which games will be moving on to the fall term. And then after that, we'll hand out awards. So make sure you're here for the whole time and come back after lunch. Don't fall asleep or take a mid-afternoon nap or something like that, but actually come back, and we'll wrap this up this term and really show off everything you guys have done, which is really super cool. So I want to acknowledge the faculty here who've been working on this for a long time, this whole term, and throughout 17. I haven't been here for all 17 green lights, but Lynn Understiller, if you guys want to give a round of applause. Then. And Hugh Henry's here all the time, so helping you guys out with the code. And of course Derek, who behind the scenes is actually the puppet of Lynn, but he pretends. Anyways, he tweets a lot, so. And Matt Marquette, who's always getting you guys up on design and making sure you guys get ready for this moment. So these classes, awesome. Thanks. And some guy named George, I don't know where he is. Probably being an artist. Being an artist somewhere, you know, looking at something pretty like Sedona. So that being said, yeah, Derek, do you want to come up and talk a little bit about kind of what's going on? Sure. Latest events, kind of things like that.
Well, first off, congratulations. It's been a good term. It's good to see the progress that the team's made this term, which is really, really awesome. I'm going to keep mine quick today so we can get right into the pitches. Obviously, we're always looking to get new technology and stuff in here, so don't have a date on it yet, but we're in talks with Microsoft to get the HoloLens on campus. So if you want to start thinking about AR type projects, you could. The other thing that we're working on that I think will be really cool is we're going to replace in the cafe where we've got all those consoles that nobody plays anymore. We're going to put 3 PCs in there, and we're pretty much just going to run studio projects on them. So be thinking about that. That way we can just get, you know, every tour will see your project. Everybody that walks through there will see your project and things like that. So that's another thing that we're working on. The VR degree changes a lot this fall, so hopefully we'll start to see more VR students coming through. Then, as always in the studio, if you participate next term, you're going to start to see just tweaks and changes. Social media being a big part of it. The last 5 weeks I've been on a social media research blitz, just trying to figure out different ways we can utilize some of these tools. The latest one that I have found in digging through the deep settings of YouTube is in a YouTube channel, I can actually have different people log into my channel with your YouTube credentials and give you limited access on uploading things. And so you're probably going to see this fall us push forward on that to just get more content up on the studio YouTube channel. Because it's less of a barrier now to have just one person being the gatekeeper and things like that. Those are the big ones that I think they're hitting this fall. Obviously, it is a fall start, which means you're going to see lots and lots and lots of new students on campus. So you guys being the more senior level people of the school, try to make a good impression. Try to start to get them working how you need to work to finish projects. Something I've challenged this week all the game faculty with is complete transparency on how much time it takes to do stuff. Right? I think a lot of people make these early assumptions just like, oh yeah, I'll just do that this afternoon and it'll be fine. We make fun of you guys a lot, just FYI, in the private, so I'm going to tell on the rest of the faculty. I'm as guilty about it as everybody. Some of our favorite quotes from years, this isn't just this term. I worked really hard on that project. It took 5 hours. That's almost a day. Congratulations, you know. And it doesn't mean it wasn't hard work. It's just one of those things that, as a new student coming in, think about where you were when you were first coming out of high school, right? Working 20 hours or 25 hours for a lot of high school kids is insane. They're not used to it. They didn't do that. I'm a different generation. I had 2 jobs in high school, so I worked all the time. I was stupid and bought a new car my senior year of high school. It was not a smart move. But we want to start to change that culture as well, right? We want to change that culture of, wow, 5 hours, good start. Now let's talk about where it needs to go, and start to set that in, and not scare them, but to start to set those kind of things. So we're working on some pushes that way. I don't have exact numbers, but right now it's tracking to be probably our biggest start in 6 or 7 years. A lot of new students coming in. I don't have breakdowns of which degrees they're coming in under. If they follow historic, if you take game, computer programming, and network security, that's probably about 85% of the students. And then the last 20 to 25 or 15% are the rest. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that's kind of hitting, that I'm kind of excited about. Crossing my fingers, I'll have all of the hardware mounted in the green screen studio to have another Vive running up there. We've got the computer, we've got the Vive, now we've just got to mount the hardware. And just other little tweaks on the campus stuff. So if you have any questions about that stuff, come and find me. Other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing both the progress and where things are going to go. I'm not sure what my afternoon will be here, so if I'm not here to say congratulations, I'll congratulate you now. I have an off-site meeting for potentially another game project that we might bring onto campus probably in the spring. I don't think I'll hit it this fall, but it's hard to say. So I'm always looking for opportunities for you guys. So yeah, I have to go downtown Phoenix and have a meeting on that. And also if there's any ACS people in here, probably not. There might be a project for them too. So that's what's going on around campus. I think it's time to kick it over to pitchers. So I think Lynn's going to come down and take over. My puppet master, Lynn. I guess Ben's going to do it. Yeah, Lynn's
Here I come. Here I come. Yeah, actually, I just wanted to also follow up on what Derek was saying with the number of students coming in fall. I think there's about like 300 or something, potentially.
Yeah, between online and on ground and everything, yeah, it's somewhere in that range.
So that's more than are in this room right now. Let that sink in a little. Yeah.
Ben's math skills.
See? Can I do some programming now? But that's an opportunity too for us to kind of, again, show off where you're at. It's a whole new culture that we can bring in, and hopefully the best of the things that you guys saw and experienced we can pass forward. And a big part of that again is just where these projects are at. And I know a lot of them want to continue. So we have the list up there of who's going to be pitching, kind of giving milestones and pitching. If they can come in and just see where the passion you guys have and the games that you guys have been making, I think that'll be really inspiring for them. And also, I'd like to start incorporating a bit more into the actual studio program. Now that we've got more of a process coming in for the games, I'd like to get more process for each of you individually for what you do on those games, showing it off. And then once you finally graduate from here, I want you to have things to show not just the game, but also other kind of relics or something online, whether it's blogging or it's videos that you're making or something, so that when you guys get out there, you guys are much easier and quicker to get picked up to studios, because this is a really interesting program. I mean, what we do here is very different than a lot of other game schools. Of course, there are a few out there that are doing somewhat of a similar thing, but this actually is the most that kind of experience that you'll get to actually sitting in a studio and working there, aside from, of course, having to be there all the time, but also getting paid, hopefully, for that. And so I want you, again, to emphasize that when you go out into the real world and talk to studios, that you do have that experience. And so having whatever kind of artifacts when you walk away to validate that, I think will help. So I know Lynn also mentioned something about the Facebook Hub, right? So we want to talk about that with internships. If anybody wants to help us with Facebook and some of the social media things that Derek is mentioning, come talk to us. Also, we would love to have interns just for the studio and the website. So if anybody wants to do any of those kinds of things or knows anybody, that's also there. We have the academy. Lynn, do you just want to say something real quick about that? That's kind of more your thing.
Just very briefly, if you have need of doing an internship and you want to do that right here at UAT Studios, we have lots of opportunities for you. So just approach us afterward if you're trying to get set up for that, and take things and others.
Cool. And then the job fair. And so the job fair is the next step after today, basically. So on September 8th, when we come back, which is the first Friday of the fall term, we'll be doing this kind of a thing again. Whichever teams move forward from today will be pitching again, because obviously they'll have folks in the audience here who aren't in these classes right now, and they'll be able to see what games are coming up, just like you did, and they'll get to choose which games they want to work for. So that'll be happening. Get ready for that, especially if your team was chosen, or if you're coming back to these classes and want to be out with a certain team. That'll be on the 8th of September. So yeah, obviously, there's a lot in here about how we want to make sure that the projects that come through the UAT Game Studios are supported a lot by us and what we do. Always get kind of first dibs on the things that we do, as well as far as outreach or going places. And so we really want to emphasize that these are projects that are really strong, and have taken a lot of what you've learned from Matt, from Hugh, from Derek, from Lynn, from George, before you get here, and brought that into an idea, into a project and pitch. And so some of the things that we do look for when you're pitching are obviously a nice video helps. If you show off your gameplay, if you talk about it as well in there, and to supplement some of your talking here up front. A design document. I think by this time everybody would know what a design document is, so we're looking for that. We're looking for a style guide or any kind of concept art that you might have, or asset lists, that kind of stuff to show and prove that you're actually working on the game. Team, if you already have one that's organized and established, we'd love to see that. That's again why things like game jams are really awesome ways for you to get to know students here and to understand where you guys can add value to each other and what your abilities are. And then also, obviously, this is something that's been growing and over the years, and I mean, folks like Donald and others can attest that prototypes, right? Coming here and pitching with a prototype is so much more valuable than just coming up here and talking to us about an idea. We want to see, similar to an investor or similar to a publisher, that you can actually do what you're saying you can do, right? That's a huge thing. That's going to be the biggest thing, even when you leave here, that you need to take forward, is that you need to be able to complete whatever you can complete, or at least get something started to show off what you're talking about. And so actually today, again, because most of the people, actually all of them that are pitching today are studio teams, we already have these prototypes, but then keep that in mind if you want to pitch another time for the first time, or know anybody that wants to pitch for a first time, we'll be looking for prototypes as well. So, yeah, without further ado, why don't we bring up Donald? Do you want to come up here? We got Donald, who's been in the program for quite a while now.
7 semesters?
Jeez.
Out of
Yeah.
17, so.
It's pretty good. So you might have a few things you want to say.
Yeah.
I'll give you the floor.
So, I've been. So, yeah, like we were saying, of those 17 semesters, I've been involved with 7 of them in the program on the student side. I did 1 semester with Great War as just a designer on their team, 3 other semesters leading a project, Happy Skies, while I was still in university, and then the last 3 semesters that I've been doing as a team lead on a client project, Calculor, which most of you have been seeing for the past couple of months. And one of the things that kind of became very clear early on in my time in the game studio, as well as just seeing what other people are doing, is how important your performance in the studio is to what you're going to be doing in the future. And when I say that, I mean, right now I am a team lead working on a game that we've brought into Greenlight, and I'm being paid to do that. That's my job. I'm working in the industry. I'm not just doing for a profit share project or just something that we're trying to release and make money off of. This is a long-term project that I'm employed. And the reason I have that is because of the UAT Game Studio process. I worked very hard in the class. I made sure I was constantly excelling, trying to make sure the project I was on was doing the best it possibly could. And because of the time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears I put into Happy Skies as a lead there, one of the co-founders of TerraSec, John Wisniewski, met Mark Ragno, our client. And he was looking to have somebody start building up this documentation for a entertainment application thing that was going to be helping kids in school with math. And I went up to him because he was wanting to pitch it to Greenlight and kind of run it. And as we have some other pro projects come in and do that, and I was like, well, I've got a lot of experience with the program. I've done it for over a year and a half by the time I was meeting with him. And I, kind of walked him through what the program did, what my experience in it was, and that's why what was going to be a simple writing up design documentation for a project turned into a full job that I, every week I'm working on Calculord and getting paid for it. I've made that transition from the unemployed alum or the retail working alum to the game employed alum. And there are people on the Calculor team. We've been able to expand, and we've got we're closely approaching 10 paid contractors on the team. And people have their positions in Calculor because I saw what they were doing in this Greenlight Studio program. And there are people from other semesters that I'll probably never offer a job to because I saw how they were in this program. And it's one of the most important things is to get your head out of that kind of lie you tell yourself. A lot of the time, and I know I was early on at UAT, I had the same thing. Oh, I'm not going to put the same amount of effort in because when I'm getting paid to do it, I'm going to be much more invigorated. It's going to be much more important. I'm actually going to do a better job. That's not true. I'm putting the same amount of effort that I did into the Happy Skies project and into Great War that I am on this project, on Calculord. So I think the most important thing about this program, besides the fact that you get the skills and the experience working on teams, is that everybody else in this room is seeing what you're doing. And it's probably going to be one of the people in this room that gets you your job. And that's kind of the only thing I really think that needs to be focused on, because we talk about all the other stuff, but impress the people around you. Don't do it for Ben, don't do it for Lynn, don't do it for any of the faculty. Impress the other students around you, because they're the ones that when they get a job, they're going to get you a job because they saw how awesome you did in the program. And that's really it. Word of mouth is what's going to get you a job ultimately, 9 times out of 10. So make sure that everybody that you work with at UAT, not your classes, but especially here in the studio, when we're as close as we can be to a real development environment, are impressed with what you're doing. And that's it.
Yeah, thanks, Donald. I mean, it's about integrity, right? And so always act like you're always put into it what you can, and eventually when you do that, it'll just turn into the thing that you love to do and get paid for and so on. So practice that now. Don't, like you said, don't wait until some other fictitious time when it'll be better, whatever, right? Where you'll get paid to do that. So very cool. And you know, our goal is to help all 4 of us here, and George when he shows up, our goal is to help facilitate that, right? And so to help you guys succeed. And so, you know, if you're continuing on and you have some feedback for us about any of this stuff, or you feel like there's for some reason something's in the way, just like a stand-up, tell us. And that's the kind of stuff that we can help and incorporate and take a look at and talk to you about. It's not about giving you a handout, but it's about helping you succeed and creating an environment where you can succeed. So on that being said, Austin, you want to come up here and talk a bit about Call Center Simulator and also the opportunity you guys had just recently?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'm going to start talking about Game On Expo, show off a little bit of what we did there and talk about the experience itself. Oh, how do I do this?
I think you just shout at it.
Yeah, it'll work eventually. So Game On Expo was a bit of a surprise for us. This is interesting. It's not... Okay, whatever. It's cutting off. We didn't have a lot of prior knowledge of the event. We didn't realize that we wouldn't have internet until about a week before the event, and we are an always online MMO. So these were big problems for us. Our build was not where we wanted it to be. So in spite of finals, my team just totally kicked ass. Everybody came together. We put in long nights. We worked outside of class, and we got something really presentable ready. Yes, we had bugs. You know, we had issues, but we got something together that we were really proud of. We put some money into it. We made sure we had great presentation materials. We made sure that we were ready to demo. We had an HTC and an Oculus Rift ready to go. And while we had problems on Friday getting everything together, at the moment that we had a demo ready at 4 o'clock p.m., our last 3 hours, we had lines for the rest of the day. Saturday and Sunday, we had waits of 30 to 45 minutes to play our game. We were right next to another VR booth at Alienware, and our lines were longer than theirs. Everybody was really receptive to what we were doing. So this was a great opportunity. I got to talk to ABC 15 about the game. We met a number of YouTubers and streamers that were really interested in the game, including VR-specific content creators. So we feel like we're going to be benefiting from this event for the whole next semester up until our release. This is something just to know. If you can get to a trade show, if you can ball out, if you can make it work for your team, this is the best way to promote your game for free if you can do it through this school, or cheaply if you can do it maybe through Game Collab, or if you can find an invite to some of these events. So just keep that in mind. We went ahead and put together a video showing some of our experience. So I'm going to turn it over to our president, Mike Demo, to discuss what we did. However, I don't have sound. I don't know where we do it.
Oh, wait.
I don't see volume. So that one? Let me check. No, we're still missing sound. Desktop is probably a good idea. Yes. All right, let's try that again.
You can never go into an expo expecting to be 100%. It just doesn't happen. Bugs, glitches, crashes, it's all along for the ride.
A lot of the problems that we encountered weren't really expected. We had a lot of problems connecting to the internet, making sure that the multiplayer was working. We couldn't quite get it right, but we at least got it up and running to where people could actually join in on the game and get the experience that we wanted them to overall.
But when the game is working, it is worth every ounce of carbonated liquid lightning we consume to make the game happen.
Call Center Simulator is a multiplayer VR game based on my personal experiences working for GoDaddy.com, and we would play, we would have Nerf gun fights while we were on calls. And initially I made a prototype about that. The game was really compelling, people liked it with the prototype, and so Monster Ball came in and we started developing a proper game. It turned into some mix of a massively multiplayer online experience and a really tight VR shooter, but without violence and a good dose of office humor.
What we're planning for the future for this game is to actually incorporate massive multiplayer on a grand scale. We are actually the very first company to actually achieve massive multiplayer VR interaction at a massive level. Bringing people together regardless of headset, regardless of play style, adding in the matchmaking, all that stuff, whether it be TDM style gameplay, capture the flag, King of the Hill, anything. We will have that in and ready for you guys come early January. That way you guys can play and just enjoy the game to an even bigger level.
So we had a lot of help from Game Collab. I want to shout out Ben. He gave us the space to show the game and helped us get set up when we didn't really know what we were doing. So big shout out. Game on Expo is great. UAT helped us get there. So we were very excited about the event. This is the kind of thing where you just want to present your game to the public as well as you can, and this was a great opportunity for us to do just that. I'd like to move right into our sprint review and then our pitch. So Call Center Simulator has had a crazy semester. This started, as I mentioned, as a little prototype, which I'm going to show a little bit of in a little bit, and turned into something absolutely amazing, in my opinion. So let's get right into what we did over the last sprint, and then I'll get into what the game is and where we're going. So this sprint was all about tightening up what we had in prep for Game On Expo. So we got a few new assets in to kind of build out our environments a little bit more. We got them all spawning in the environment, which requires some code being written by one of the apps that we actually developed in-house. We cleaned up our documentation in prep for next semester, cleaned up our sandbox area, and added some post-processing that is still in process, but I think it looks a lot better that way. In terms of some of our new art, we have a cheap, mass-produced call center phone that I think looks great. We've also got our Brick brand monitor. In terms of our programming, we really wanted to get something in so that we could have a structured, gamified experience. So we started working on getting a round timer and scoring put into the game so that we could do deathmatch. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to show that, or we weren't able to show that at Game On Expo because we didn't have internet. But we think it's really compelling. We're finally getting to a point where this feels like a game as opposed to just a sandbox. And that's really exciting. We got our gun mostly implemented. We're still tightening up. We have some bugs, but it looks pretty good, and we got a lot of positive feedback about that. We fixed a bunch of bugs. We were still working on our movement system, but that's come leaps and bounds. We're right there with that. Right. We decided to pass the build video for this. So I want to show you kind of where we started and where we're at now in terms of... Oh, really? Huh. That happened really quickly. Okay, let's skip that video. That made it in after I sat down in this room, so that was really quick. There was Hotline Bling in it, which is what that's all about. Okay, moving on. So, this semester, we worked on our multiplayer functionality. I'll talk about the specifics of that here in a little bit. We built a bunch of art, and we got our hub area, our sandbox, implemented. The sandbox area, as this is an MMO, is basically where everyone's going to hang out. We're going to have a number of structured experiences within that, but you'll be able to stand and spectate and interact with some of the games that are going on that are more structured, which is something I haven't really seen in other games before, so that'll be a lot of fun. This coming semester, we are tightening up our movement system, making sure that that is implemented and ready to go. We're going to be building out a few more levels on our sandbox modes so that we have some diversity in our environments, and we are implementing all of our structured game modes. We are looking to release early access in spring 2018, but before we reach gold, before we reach our proper release, we want to have a tutorial in, we want some more guns, a weapon upgrade system, a lot more interactivity. We think that we're going to be right on time for our early access release, and we feel confident that we're going to make it all the way to gold. We do have SIP potential for anyone that's looking for a SIP. Our movement system is the first of its kind. We've already got a number of people on my team that are working on this as a SIP. So if you're looking for a SIP, please come talk to us. We would love to bring you on if we think you can help us out with our movement system. We will be releasing hopefully in January. That is the goal right now, January, February for our early access, and then we will be building towards release from there. And we've put together... You got to be kidding me.
Are all of them just not working today?
This was just working for me. Okay. Let me, how do I switch this real quick?
Google has disowned it.
Okay, whatever. I don't even care. Okay, let's try that again. All right, here we go. Thank you. You'll notice here we don't have full character models. Those are still in process. We've got a character artist working on them right now. So we do have floating heads. We wanted to have some representation that was unique to our game. Our hands are also in process, so these are placeholder assets. So, next I want to talk about the team. So when I greenlit this game, this was two people. It was me and Josh Kazel, who is on his way here now. He overslept. But we got a little bit of notoriety about the game, and oh, there's Josh right there. And Mike Demo Densmore of Monster Vault Entertainment came to us and asked if there was any way we could collaborate on this game. He was really excited about it. So we decided to partner up. He brought on our whole team, and we got to work with some of his artists that are really good. And that's been awesome for us. I cannot believe the amount of help Mike has been for us, and I can't speak enough to him as a leader. So some of you, most of you probably know Demo, and you know that he's a great guy, but it's really awesome to have him on the team and leading the team for us. Next, I want to talk about our online system because we think it's awesome. There's a company called Improbable that Ben tipped us off to. They're doing a new online hosting system called Spatial OS. Basically, they harness the power of the Google Cloud, not only to run MMO-style servers, which is awesome, but you can actually do resource management through Spatial OS, which means that any processing, and anything that would tax your processor, your memory, your graphics card, or all of that processing can be done on the server and stream back to your device in real time, which means you could do, for instance, really high quality graphics on a cell phone, something like that. So for us, being able to do a VR MMO with this technology is amazing. For those that are interested, it's being used for all kinds of things. Elon Musk is using it to test AI, both for OpenAI and Tesla right now. So it's a really interesting bit of technology. It's something, if you want to talk about kind of its uses, please come find me at any point and I can talk a little bit more about it, but we wanted to highlight them. And we will be releasing for early access in January 2018. So look out for us then. And if you want to come onto the team, either in this class or otherwise, we would love to have you. We'd love to give you a credit on the game if you can contribute. Thanks so much.
Thanks. All right, next we have Morpheus.
Okay, so, there we go. Oh, why do you do this to me? All right, there we go. Hello, I'm Roger Shulligan. I am team lead for Morpheus. And we've been through a long journey of 2 semesters of work on this project. This started off as a solo project. I was the only person on the team, and it was for a Ludum Dare, or Dare, I call it Ludum Dare, game jam, which is a 48-hour game jam where you take a theme and you make something out of it. My theme was shape-shifting, so that's why this game's about shape-shifting. So, what is Morpheus? Morpheus is this interpretive journey. You don't really have much in terms of word. You explore this world and you kind of figure out what's going on through the visuals. And we want to also do that with controls and puzzle mechanics. We want you to go into an area, see the puzzle, and play with it, figure out how it works, and then feel good about it. We don't want prompts. We don't want to explain things to you. We want you to figure it out. Another aspect of Morpheus is the creatures you find. So down here you can see this is our full cast currently. Each form has a different power, and this power allows you to explore the world in a different way or solve a puzzle. And so the really cool thing about this game that I really want to drive hard next semester is having multi-form puzzles. So right now we're kind of just focusing on the individual powers. We want you to go into an area and then use multiple forms to get through it. And we find that's going to be where the fun is, like a lot of the fun. And so we have this is our world and like our conceptualized world right now. Very fantasy, Sky Island-esque, and a lot of destruction. As you can see, that tower right there is just falling apart. It's actually part of your mission to put that back together. So who are we? I am a co-founder of Infinitive Game Studios as well as Harland. We started this crazy company last semester. We've been finalizing things earlier this semester, and now we have interns. So that's awesome. We put this through SIP. So if you want a SIP project, you can do that as well. And I could sit down and go over the innovation brief and all that if you're interested. Or if you want an internship, you can always come talk with me and show me what you can do, and I would love to see that. So earlier this semester, my goal was to get exactly that picture. I actually drew this out in my notebook, kind of a sectioned world of different parts. So you have like this hub island, which is actually the most underdeveloped area that we want to focus on next semester. So we're going to need designers for that. But the other areas is where all the time went. So we have these transitional zones which take you to the main island, and then you have the main islands. So we have areas like Dusty Dunes, which is this windy, dusty desert where you use the power of the cockatrice, which is his stoning ability, and the mag ball to manipulate contraptions. So very, very mechanical area. We have Fickle Forest. Fickle means ever, like, constantly changing. So we really want to play around next semester with maybe seasons and life and death cycle. so have puzzles that are related to that theme. But currently it uses a lot of the wolf and his scent ability, as well as the mouse in some cases. Swallow Swamp, we had a couple online students working on that. They made some progress and we have some great concepts for that. Really want to develop that next semester as well. And then we have Glacier Gorge, which is the ice place where we did a lot of stuff with the skeleton, so a lot of crystal shooting and making things change with those. We also have one that was being worked on behind the scenes with another student called Timeless Tides. Imagine a gigantic hourglass that's filled with an ocean. We actually have that asset, which is really cool. So we really want to start playing with that place. A lot of time manipulation there. So we have a lot of like concepts that we want to develop. We got to be very careful with scope. So we want to focus on small prototypes. We want to see if it's fun before we go too deep into an area to a level, which is kind of like what we did this semester. We kind of just poured all of our time into making massive levels, and we learned a lot as part of that process. Here are some pictures of some concepts for Dusty Dunes. These are from various artists on the team. So we have Harlan, he made that one right there. And then we have Ashley Bangs, an online student, who did the other 4. And she's also a designer, so she would design the game and also provide these for us, which has helped our art team tremendously. And here is another student's work, Emily Shriver. She worked on a 3D model for that exact temple right there. And that's really awesome. We really want to start playing with this area as well. Fickle Forest. So like I said earlier, this area uses a lot of the wolf. So you can see there's flowers, the scent trails, and over here is the mouse. He's kind of trapped in this contraption, this cage that will crush him, or you can release him. So there's kind of this multi-choice puzzle where you can either release him and capture him, or you can kill him and capture him. So we're playing with that choice again. And here's kind of an overview of that island. We have a mesh that surrounds that terrain. We are also working on a voxel engine. That's mostly what I've been researching, which will allow us to carve caves and all that. Don't think Minecraft, think actual like smooth 3D terrain. It's the same technology though. Another aspect of our game is the puzzles. So if you're a designer and you're really interested in designing these mechanical or not so mechanical puzzles, we want you. So here's some examples here. The top 2 images are for our laser lights. This uses color theory with lights. This was programmed by Fred and worked on by several designers. You basically mix colors to unlock doors, and we can layer this nicely into more complex puzzles. We have not lasers. We have this magnesis orb platform where you can manipulate a metal object and move it around. And then we also have the skeleton stuff, so this crystal shooting and manipulating the land with these crystals. And then kind of an overview or like a nice shot of that desert transitional zone that we were working on. And again, this was made by Fred, and kind of the thing we want to explore is these simple mechanics that we can stack on top of each other and make really interesting levels that utilize more than just, the hero, but multiple forms. So, like I said, we need people who want to create those intricate systems. So programmers, we want you to help us make very expandable systems. We don't want everything to be hard-coded. We want to be able to drag and drop things, hook a door up to a pressure plate, that kind of logic, without them really being like coupled together. And I can teach you all that I know about that and hopefully get you up to speed on how we do things. We also want very stylized art. So if you're interested in like the style of Okami, Zelda, or any Toon type game, we want you. We have someone joining our project next semester who's really interested in shader programming. So I'm going to be working with kind of a technical artist with making the game look really, really good, like Okami and that Toon style. And of course, we want people who are willing to design these really, really interesting worlds and puzzles, so that we can have this elaborate, crazy world. We do a lot on social media. I have Adam Moore over there. He's in the back hiding. He takes care of my Twitter and my Facebook. And so if you join our team, we're going to want you to give us pictures, GIFs, so we can share that to the world. We want to show off your work. We want to show off this game. So that's what I plan on doing a lot next semester, is really pouring time into this aspect. And we also have a website where you can download our demo and check it out. And so that's something we're also going to be focusing on a lot, is making a very, very powerful vertical slice that people will play and go, wow, I like this game, I want to support it. And so yeah, that's my presentation for Morpheus. Thank you. And if you want to play our demo, it is online. But I believe I do have a copy of it here. Yes, I do. So I can give you a little quick view of what we have online. So we're really trying to polish this out so that we can show it to investors. That's my current goal right now, is to get people funding us. So I'm really trying to focus on the aesthetic and the just basic mechanics. So we actually added some stuff to this build from last time. Before it was just a simple like mag ball area where you manipulate metal, very simple. We're still working out a couple kinks with this one before we release it. So this one's actually going to be up sometime this week. But this demo shows off the wolf. So a long time ago when I first pitched this, we showed off the really cool, and I forgot to grab the form. Wow. We showed off the wolf's power. We really didn't use it though. We kind of just showed, oh look, it renders a particle trail and it takes you to a cube. Cool. Now we're actually using that. So, oops. So now if you use them, you can see, you know, that flower over there is yellow. But if you go up to it, you can't really, you know, tell what color it is. So the wolf can reveal the true color of something. And you can see I'm missing 4 flowers. So my goal is to explore this area and find the other 4 flowers. So over here you can see we have a hedge maze, but you know, you don't have to, you know, fight your way through the maze. You have the wolf, so you can figure out the path you can take to get through it. Another thing we expanded, and he kind of like grabs another path for you, but there's multiple targets in this maze. Another thing we added to the wolf was digging. So he can actually get underneath a wall and take you to the other side. So we don't want this to be just, oh, he does one thing. We want these forms to have multiple abilities. And you can see he can also dig up items that the hero can grab. And so there's the shape shifting. But imagine that with more forms and more intricate puzzles. So that's really what I'm looking for. So yeah, that's Morpheus. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you guys next semester.
Reign and Rebellion is next. Derek is introduced. I think every time I ask somebody to give me the theme song.
Yeah, when I see this stuff in the old building, we set up all the different labs and we came to site. And I was in my office, so nobody knew who I was. And every time I was dying in here, I was and stuff. It's interesting. It's cool. I was getting the same.
Hi everyone, my name is Bart Driscoll. I'm the project lead for the game Reign and Rebellion. So for those of you who don't know what Reign and Rebellion is yet, Reign and Rebellion was an idea brought in by 2 industry vets, Doug and Daryl. Sorry. All they brought us was a sort of GDD of a idea that they had been fleshing out themselves, and the desire for us to work on a prototype, and for the knowledge we have here being students, and also the knowledge we have as game players. So, the game's concept is an online third-person action game using team-based combat, which the teams are comprised of various different classes that have their own strong suits and weaknesses and utilities in combat. And what these classes will be fighting on are different maps that will encompass different game modes. Some will have multiple, some will have very specific ones that will only be able to be played on that specific map. The art style, or how we want this game to look, is more of a realistic feel. Half of it will be sort of a steampunky, mechanical kind of feel. The other half will be a more fantasy, brick and mortar, magic kind of theme. And then that will be used on the different teams, the classes, and the weapons and devices they use. Here we have 2 of the classes that are done by our character artist, Matt Du Bois. And one of our maps that was made by our environment artist, John Goodall. So, let's show off what we have in the build right now. So here are our 2 teams, and then you select one of the teams, and then you can go straight to selecting what class you want to play as. And so this map is sort of a temple for the fantasy team. This is a place where they stock up on supplies, where they study, where they train, where they can kind of seclude themselves from the world. And get stuck.
Jump.
Yeah. Well, we can see most of the map from here anyway. If you look around, we have this kind of central garden area that's overlooking by 2 balconies that are connected to the sides of the map. It's sort of a circular map. 2 teams, or one team spawns on one corner, the other team spawns on the other corner. And it's going to be more of a capture the flag kind of map, to where you have to go to the other enemy side, get whatever object it's going to be, and drag it back to your side, with having different paths going through, either going all the way around or going through the center. And then there are different areas that we want different types of classes to try and fight through, whether you're up on the balcony shooting down at people moving through the middle, or sneaking through an underground area to try and pass to the other side unnoticed. This is one of the classes that we have in, the more wizardy kind of class, or ranged kind of class for the fantasy team. They use fireballs as well as support themselves with a shield, or support their team members by healing them. Okay. So some of the challenges we faced this semester, with it being our second semester, was not so much the team members we had on. Thank you. Not so much the team members we had on already, but bringing in new people, getting them up to speed, getting them into the flow with how we've already been working. Some people did, from last semester coming into this semester, switch to new roles, bigger roles. Our programmer here, Alex, switched on as the new programming lead. He's taken over that role very well. Of course, like every team, we've had game-breaking bugs, things that kept us up late at night, trying to fix. And then always implementing new features, trying to make the game as best as we can. So, for the future, what our goal is for the next semester, if we get greenlit, is to really just finish off the game, get it as great as we can, and get it shown off as best we can, or on market if we could. And what we need to do this is finish off the maps that we have currently being worked on, get online functionality complete, get the gameplay to as perfect of a state as we can, as fun of a state as we can, get good UI for our menus, and possibly tweak it for gameplay, and then completing the rest of the character models for the different classes that are going to be in the game. So, what we'll need to complete these goals are programmers that are willing to learn or already know about online functionality that can help us get that done. Gameplay programmers who can help us tweak or add new features. UI artists to help us create simple, workable UI for the menus. And designers who are willing to test our game, sit down with it for hours, and then figure out what absolutely needs to be changed or what could be put in to make the gameplay as fun as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Oh, we got World of Marks next. Kyrie.
gotta go. Alright.
Use Firefox. I'm going to use it.
Huh?
Could use Firefox.
Or an incognito window.
Yeah.
Or like a red free. Dare you suggest that?
Sorry. Exactly. That's the exact password. Alright, this is it right here. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I am Kyrie Summerall, lead for World of Marts. And for those of you who don't know the game, World of Marts is a fighting game. It's also a single player game, but it's mainly based on fighting and multiplayer combat. It's meant to be like the next best friendship killer. So when I say that, I mean games like Smash Bros, Mario Party, Mario Kart, games of that nature that are very competitive. So I'm going for games like that. They're similar to that. So the game itself is a cross genre between different types of fighting games that combine different elements together. So it combines different RPG elements with different strategy elements. So think like StarCraft and Xenoverse put together, things of that nature. I don't know what that was, but okay. So the the game itself is also have interactive environments. So the levels themselves will also try to kill you, as well as your opponents trying to kill you. So that adds on to the intensity of the combat. So you have to make quick decisions. You have to think. You have to actually know what you're doing. You can't just button mash or spam moves just to win. So the style of the game that I was going for is a mix between realistic and anime. So a lot of the characters have this feudalistic Japanese style, but with a little bit of anime built into it. So it's like a magical fantasy feudal type thing going on. So the biggest reference I can think of is an Afro Samurai. If any of you know that, Afro Samurai's World. So that's the basic concept of the game that I'm going for. So these are a couple of our finished characters. We have recently completed our mob boss and our final female character, but I wasn't able to get any pictures in for them, but we do have them. These are a couple of our levels that are finished. We have the throne room, which is the smaller level, so it's meant for more intense, close, interactive combat, where the forest level is meant for more broad, strategical combat. And this is our progress so far of what we have.
And they're all coming after me now.
There we go. So for our combat, we have finished everything. We have the basic functionality input into the game. We have the mob boss that spawns along with his enemies. So in order to get rid of the smaller enemies, you have to kill the mob boss, which gives you a temporary buff. We have our key, health, and everything finished. We have it so when you die, you ragdoll away. So think of Skyrim. Whenever you kill something, it just goes everywhere. Yeah, just like that. So we have it so you can do damage to the enemies and as well as the players themselves. Also, we have our win-lose system actually implemented as well. So whenever you die or whenever you kill the enemy boss, then you can either switch levels or reset the game or so on and so forth. So we have all that implemented as well as our ability system. Our ability system actually does damage now as well as our combat. So you can punch and do our different combos that actually do damage now, where there in the past we just had it so the abilities just do damage. So we have all that implemented into the game now. So as you can see here, whenever you get hit, you can see the little the reactions, that bright spike that shows that you're getting hit. So whenever your health goes all the way down, you'll die and you'll go ragdoll, and you'll have the choice to either respawn or switch levels. Whether if you kill the enemy boss, which is about to happen soon, the win-lose ratio will implement, and you can go from there as well. And the longer the boss stays alive, the more enemies that spawn. So you have to choose to either let him
B, you can throw your enemies into that barrage, or you can just snipe them from afar and get that temporary buff and screw over your other players. So see, he just died, so all the enemies died as well. And then you have that win-lose ratio. And this is our contact information. We have Twitter, Facebook, and a website if you want to get involved. Thank you.
And, what are you looking for next term? Are you looking to continue next term?
I was, but I'm going to be leaving, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to or not.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks.
Thank you.
So this semester was our last semester in the Greenlight studio. We've had 3 semesters. We've gotten a lot of great things out of the studio. We're going to be moving to just having interns. So we are offering internships for designers, programmers, and artists. We're still going to be working out of here at UAT on Fridays. It's just a good environment to be in. And since we're going to have the interns anyway, and most of our team are alum, we're just we're used to the environment here and we like working here. But I'm going to jump right into the build. I think a lot of the times we can get caught up in how we present the things we're working on, and sometimes it's better to just let the work stand on its own. So we've done a lot of work this semester. Previously, we built up a prototype that Mark was able to take to investors to get funding. We ended up getting around $250,000 in funding from that first round of investments. And so our primary goal this semester was to move from that prototype, just get it done. Who cares if it's poorly made? We just need something out so that people can see what we're doing and understand it, to a full production environment. So now everything we're building is stuff that's going to last through the duration of the project as much as it can. We're building our systems so that way things like adding new armor sets, new character types, everything's streamlined, easy to do, and is optimized for the platforms we're shooting for, which is going to be both mobile and desktop. And so we've sorted out things like being able to create your character. So now we've got the ability to select gender. You can change the face type. So that way, as we go forward and just build more and more content, there's more for the kids to be playing around with, because we want this avatar to be something that they're proud of, something that they want, that they think looks cool and is representative of who they want to be in our game world. And so you can go through and modify skin tone. It's a little hard to see, but you can see that you can modify eye color, a bunch of different hair options, and then hair color. And so our primary focus right now is just adding in more content. We've got, this is the build that we showed off the Sunshine Acres kids. They came in last Friday to do a playtest. We had a lot of great feedback. And it was also very invigorating for us to see. Previously, when we were showing off the prototype, it was very limited. It didn't work very well. And the response we got then, as compared to now, when we've actually got things working in a smooth manner, it's a very polished experience, was worlds apart. Last semester at the end, the kids really didn't want to play our game. They're trying to jump onto everybody else's. This semester, though, because we've got the polish in there, because it's actually fully functioning, and there's a lot of little things that they can mess around with, the kids were loving it. And so that was very invigorating for the team to see as far as moving forward. So you've got your hero, you can go in, you can equip different items, you can go into the shop and you can compare. So that way we've got our systems set up so that way you'll be able to see what effects different armors have, and then you'll be able to purchase. So I don't think I've got, say, the Paulders. So you can buy it. Everything's checked against the back end in PlayFab, so that way it's very difficult for you to cheat and grant yourself any items that you shouldn't have. Spalders went on arms, shoulders. So, and you're able to drop in the items and equip them. And everything's running through PlayFab, it's all secure, and we've got our full pipeline for how do we create the asset, how do we set it up in Unity, and how do we have it linked up in PlayFab so that way we can start adding it to the stores. We've got our logbook set up, so now you're able to actually we're able to track achievements, give rewards. We're able to allow them to set the titles based on the awards that they've gotten, and it changes their title setup. And then I can go into the quizzes. And then, so this is our debug for having buffs, just because we don't have the shop functionality for the temporary items worked out yet. But so I can go in, and we've got our timer working, we've got enemy health, we've got the pop-ups that say what effects you're getting because of your armor, and you're able to go in and answer questions and get them right and wrong. And the entire loop for how you interact with the quiz is there. And the kids were actually able to go through everything. They were starting out, we gave them new characters, they were able to earn currency to buy items, and we actually saw a fair bit of, even though there were kids that came up and said, they don't really like math, they enjoyed playing our game. They wanted to keep playing calculator because they wanted to get the new items, and they especially loved, which was some great feedback for us, was our little keep setting. So right here, it's just kind of visual. It sits behind all of our UI screens, but they absolutely loved just being able to pan around and look at this little scene we set up as a temporary placeholder. So that gave us a lot of direction. We now know that that's something that we need to make sure is a larger focus, because they want to build this place up. And I would show off the teacher console, but we're trying to keep that a little more under wraps as much as we can. But as far as the teacher console is concerned, we're able to have teachers go in, you're able to register an account, you're able to select and assign students to classrooms, you're able to go in and create quizzes in the console. Basically, the entire functionality that a teacher would need to set up what the kids are going to be seeing in this quiz section is there. And so our next steps are just getting the live look at what the students have done hooked up. And then we're going to move on to our next round of investments. This semester, we've had a pretty smooth semester as far as problems have been concerned. Our biggest problem has actually been expansion. We've been able to bring on more people. We just hired a pair of freelance illustrators, and we're taking the steps forward so that we can move on and continue with the project. And it's been a great time for us here in the Greenlight program, and it's something that's really set us up for moving forward with the project and making sure that we're going to be successful. We can't wait to be one of the best success stories that UAT has as far as its students are concerned, and that's kind of our goal. So thank you for having us in the program, and thank you for watching us make this application and listening to me ramble on all the time about the various things that we're doing. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, you're last but not least. You're only last because you always screw up the resolution.
I'm not going to stop doing it now. All right. So my name is Alexander Watson. I'm the team lead for Operation Red Rhino. It is a tactical multiplayer first-person shooter that features levels built with a node system. Each one of those nodes houses its own individual round, its own individual objective, and then its own buff for the team that owns that node, with the ultimate objective to kind of stack those buffs up for your team, stack those roles that you're unlocking up for your team, and be able to assault the enemy base to end the map. So we were a new project coming in, so a lot of what we had to do this semester was a lot of bringing new people on, getting them spun up on what we were trying to do, what is feasible to do with the team size that we had, and then kind of decide what we're going to put off until next semester. We didn't get any artists for this semester, so we had to put a lot of our art stuff off until next semester. What we did get in, though, was really nice, and that brings me to our second one, which is the supplemental contract work. All of our artists were contracted, so they were just working on what they could when they could. But we did get a lot of really good art from those guys, and I'll be showing that off a little bit later. The biggest thing was our node vote system. That is what we're using to pitch for SIP. So we got all of that done. Anthony and Charles worked really hard on that all semester, so that actually came together really, really nice at the end. That's weird that it's behind the picture there. But map loading and player migration, that's another thing that Charles and Anthony were working on. Just getting players from the map into the vote screen and then back into a new map, and then handling saving players, saving loadouts, saving teams, all that kind of stuff. They got that hammered out this semester as well. And then because of all that needing to get done, we also needed playable maps to go through. So we were targeting 6 playable nodes. That way we could mirror them for the opposite side of the map. And we got all those done as well. So we hit all of our objectives. Here are our first 6 classes that we got in. We have our leader, medic, rifleman, scout, saboteur, and grenadier. The bottom row are the ones that are unlocked through the node system. So those are actually spots on the map that your team will have to take in order to utilize those classes. The top 3 are the ones that you guys have all the time, straight from the beginning, straight from node 1. You'll be able to choose from those classes. So they'll always be there. And those are the ones that we focused heavily on because we really needed to get those working before we moved on to anything else. Here's some of our contract work. All these weapons were done through our contractors, except for the AK. Dom did that one at the end. Tristan did a great job on the G3, which we have up here. Steven did an awesome job on the Dragunov over in the corner. And then, like I said, Dom handled the AK down at the bottom there. These actually, we started to get these the last sprint, which was fine because what we, as the design and art team, besides just testing, we really had to hammer down our pipeline for importing our assets, and this gave us, we got through all the hurdles and headaches trying to get these weapons in. So getting these in now gave us a chance to kind of document our process, and when we bring a ton of artists on later on, hopefully, we'll be able to pass that information along to them, and all of that headache is in the past. So here's the node vote system where it currently stands. It's not pretty, but it is completely functional. So right over here on the orange screen, we have what the buttons look like right now. So each one of the buttons is a node. The player whose screen we got captured here, they have the ones that are kind of grayed out there, so he can't vote on that. It's the system saves which nodes your team has captured, won't let you take those. Moving forward, it will also, so say we just took the start node, it won't let you choose the base node because you don't have a clear path to that. That's something that we're going to handle next semester. What it does do, though, is you can see it also saves up there in all of that Charles UI. It saves what node each team has, and then it'll also save the buff or the unlock for that. So you can see over on the side over here, that's actually being reflected. You can see on the one screen, that player or that team does have the Grenadier node. On the other screen, that team does not have the Grenadier node. Therefore, the Grenadier class is locked off to them. They can't access that or any of the weapons or abilities that come with that class. So this is a really cool system. This was one of the big things at Game On Expo that people were super, super excited about. Even though we only had 2 computers, so we could only run a 1 versus 1 on all of these. And since all of our game modes are designed for multiple people to have to be included, it was really just deathmatch for those guys. But we had people run through the whole section of maps, just 1v1, trying to get each other, trying to maneuver across the map and stuff like that. So that was really awesome to see that people were really latching onto this. And then moving forward with this, we really just need to make this prettier. And this is what we're hoping to kind of make this out to be. We'll have a UI section on the side, but this is all of our maps. This is how they're laid out right now. These are screenshots from the maps that we have in right now. So this is where what we're gonna do right now. These 5, so the top one in the middle there, and then the 5 down here in the bottom. Those are the ones that we have to. We have 2 in white box right now, and then another 3 that we need to get hammered out next semester. And hopefully we can bring on a couple more level designers, because it was just 2 of us doing the first 6, and it took us all semester. It was a painful process. Here are all the nodes again. I showed them off on our last milestone review, but here they are again real quick. We have our start node. It's just an elimination, no respawn. It's our smallest map in the game. It's just meant to get people in the game. Each team will only have the initial 3 classes unlocked, so we just want them to get in there and kind of get the ball rolling, set the tone for the map on that one. We have our 2 movement nodes. These will feature a neutral game mode, so an objective in the middle, and then you have to take it to either side of the map. We have our scout node. This is meant for the scout class, so it's meant for wide open engagements, kind of sniper battles across the map, and then little pathways and stuff for guys with submachine guns or assault rifles to maneuver through there. Our grenadier node, it's kind of the same sort of deal as our scout node. It's built with verticality in mind, so you want to get that grenadier guy up top and defend the centrally located objective from up there. Our saboteur node, and then our base node. So this has our assault game mode on it. It's a 3-tiered map with different objectives that'll turn off and on based on how many nodes you have captured coming into this one. So looking forward, what we're planning on doing, we need a character artist first and foremost. That's one of our biggest things. We need an animator. We're looking to replace all of the character animations right now, which isn't a huge list. And then Charles is actually looking at doing a lot of stuff with IK. So he's going to be doing that over the 2-week break here. So hopefully when we bring an animator on, they're going to be handed a pretty nice suite to be working with there. We need a systems designer to help us balance out all the weapons, all the abilities, all the equipment, stuff like that. We need programmers. Right now, we only have 2, and then a UI artist. We got a lot of feedback on our UI. Not all bad, but we definitely need a UI artist to come in and kind of clean up what we got, and then for the node vote system, make that look a lot better than it does now. So I will get into the build now. I won't be able to show off the node vote system right now. It relies on us being able to play multiplayer right now. Unfortunately, Dom's not here to give us his super secret spy password, so we're just gonna have to roll with what we got here. So I'll go into one of the nodes that we haven't showed off a ton, the scout node. This is one that Dom did, or it's gonna do that to me. All right. So we'll come in here. We worked a lot on getting our UI to a point where it made sense for what our game was about. Our previous UI had a bunch of unnecessary stuff that was really confusing to players to kind of just pick a weapon, get in there, and start playing. So we spent a lot of time getting that cleaned up, especially for game on. That kind of saved our butt. All right, so this is our G3 right here that we got in working. I am going to turn this down real quick. Sorry about that. It is. It's a forest floor bed, so it's a bunch of sticks, you know. All right, so we got our first weapon in. We also have the AK and the Dragunov in and working. Again, the pipeline to get this in, it took us a couple days kind of to get it down, but now that we have it down, I'm really glad that headache's over because I'm really hoping to bring some artists on. We have some people that are currently designers that are moving into an artist role next semester, and we're bringing on at least one more artist from there. The other thing that we're doing, we're offering internships. So anybody coming on from now on, you can apply for an internship. It'll be running through Isaac. So if you're interested in that, talk to either myself or Isaac about that. And then we're also SIP ready. So I'm pitching SIP next semester. So if you're either pitching soon or you haven't started SIP yet, this is SIP eligible. So we are also offering that. And that is all that I got for you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So like, yeah, I'm totally floored by the work you guys have done this term, honestly. I can see where every single project is going and what you guys have done, and I know everybody has put a lot of hard work into what you've done. And I'm just really impressed, especially for a summer term. Normally we don't have this many students in the summer term for the studio class, and such ambitious projects. So please give a round of applause to all yourselves and all the hard work you've done. And I'm sure some of the other faculty here might want to say a few words. It's been awesome stuff. So
yeah, perma smile. You guys are incredible. I'm a little choked.